Good evening, everybody. So, people who are joining online, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. And let's start it. So, today is March 23rd, right? So, according to our schedule, okay. So, this week we will start uh, a new paradigm of object programming that is called object-oriented programming. Okay, so we will start from class and object. Okay, and you will see that we will spend 3 weeks in a row to discuss this. Okay, so it will be a good startup or a good introduction to object-oriented programming. You may hear the term object-oriented programming, but you may not understand what is that. Okay, but you will get some idea, and you will understand advance or all basic features of object-oriented programming in our next course 1322. If you take our 1322 course, then you will understand object-oriented programming. So there are some students I know, they are taking 1321, but if you do not have any intention to take 1322, please take it. If you take 1322, then you will learn object-oriented programming. Then you will have a good foundation of programming. Later, if you want to switch in programming, if you want to be a software developer or tester or software engineer, whatever you want to do, if you understand 1322, our next course, especially the object-oriented programming, then you will be good in shape, good shape to learn any programming language quickly. But as we know that this course 1321, this is just a foundation of programming. In this course, we are teaching how to write a program. So especially so far we discussed how to declare a variable. Starting from that, okay, so we starting from beginning, we declare what is an algorithm. We understand what is an algorithm, right? A step-by-step process to solve a problem. And then we wrote algorithm in pseudocode format, and then we converted algorithm in actual program, converted the pseudocode in actual programming languages. We are learning 3 programming languages, C++, Java, and C#. And then in our programming language, we learn what is the structure, okay, of C++ program, Java program, and C# program. And then we declare how to declare a variable. We learn how to declare a variable, and with different data type, how to take input of the variable using keyboard or any hard-coded value, right? Then we learn selection statements, if, else statement, and then we learn also what is that called, switch case statement, right? Then we learn if, learn looping control statement, while loop, for loop, do while loop, right? The repetition structure, and we learn array, okay, one-dimensional array, and we learn sorting and searching algorithms, and and before this week we learn methods. What is a method? A function. What is a function? It's some systematic code. There's some group of codes that are designed to perform some specific task, and that are enclosed with a name, and we call that function by its name, right? So those are the foundation. If you understand those, and in addition to this, we learn some built-in functions, string operations, or string operation, some built-in functions. Okay, those are the actually foundation of programming. You may not be able to solve a medium scale problem, all problems, even if it is simple, using so far whatever you learned. Okay, there are some limitations. For instance, we learned that so far there are 8 primitive data types, right? What are those 8 primitive data types? Can anyone please help me? Yes. Byte, short, long, int, double. Yes, short, byte, long, int are our own family. Okay. Float, double, our own family. Then 6, you got 6. Then Boolean, 7. Another is character, right? Those are 8 primitive data types, and in addition to these primitive data types, there are other built-in some data types, like one of those called string. String is a built-in data type, but it's not primitive data type. Primitive means for an integer type variable, only you can put integer value. You cannot put any character or alphanumeric like ABC. Okay, and for float or double number, you can put only plus, minus, then some numeric numbers and only decimal point, nothing else, right? And then for Boolean, you can use in either true or false, nothing else. You cannot say yes, no, right? Can you say yes or no? For Boolean, no, you cannot do it, okay? For character, you can put only one single character, but those are primitive data types. Those are limitations that only one kind of value. You cannot mix up value. Okay. But we learned that string type, it is a combination of characters and alphabets, also alphanumeric characters. You can put numbers and characters with numbers and characters together, but those are enclosed within double quote. That is called string literal. Okay, but did you notice any limitation of those built-in data type? Okay, maybe if you did not think in depth or solve other kind of problem, a large problem, you did not notice any limitation. But for instance, let us think about it. So if we want to keep only the ID, for instance, the social security number, only the social security number of all people in the USA, then it is fine, only one variable, array type variable, right? There are about 332 million people in the USA. So you declare a long type array with 350 million size. That's it, right? You can put all of their social security number, but only in digit. Okay, but sorry. In addition to social security number, if you want to put their name, all people's name, okay, at least everybody has two names, first name and last name, right? Then you need double more variables, right? Another 350 million variable for first name, another 350 million variable for last name, right? And if you are middle name, then another 350 million, a large array size of another 350 million with for name, right? With for, so what is going on over here? So so we want to type, so we know that we have type, our integer type, for instance, integer. Okay, we say array, like name is an array, 350 million, then 60, right? So integer will not work, for instance, here, so we need long here. long. Okay, so name is array name is name. Okay, then maybe this is a first name, if name, and then we need another variable for last name, that is, okay, actually it's not, I did a mistake. Let me fix it. Long, maybe SSN 350 million. Okay, and then string first name, and then another variable string last name, that also need 350, and so on. And if you add another attribute like string address, that is also same amount, right? 350 million. So you see that if we are, as long as we are adding one variable, so then our memory size is getting bigger and bigger, right, in the program. So it will need a large computer, high capacity, high volume. Okay, so then if we want to, for instance, keep census data of all people in the USA or whole world, let us think about in the state of Georgia or in the USA. That as many people we have in a state or in the country, we need that number of variables times. Okay, so how many attribute or for each people has, like for instance, if I want to keep all of my personal information, my bank account number, my home address, my phone number, my email address, my previous 5 addresses, my previous first five jobs, job history, okay, my driving record, okay, my criminal history, all of those, like it can be extending, right? Extending, right? So normal programming with this kind of variable will be very difficult to maintain, right? So even if we think that we are not using an array, we are using arrays, just where if we use even single variable, okay, then for instance, if we use variable like this kind of variable, if I have 20 variables total, and then if I have 350 million people in the USA or in my database, and we want to keep record, then how much it will be? Like the total will be 750 million, right? Huge, right? We may need 20 variables for name, social security number, first name, last name, father name, mother name, email address, phone number, office address, driving history, a lot of things. So as much as we think, our program will be more complicated. Okay, so in real life situation, what do we want to do? We know that there are some 8 primitive data types. Okay, and we will combine all of those primitive data types, and in combination of the existing data types or a data type that someone has built, in combination of existing data types, we will create our own type. Okay, so whenever we say, what do we mean by creating our own type? For instance, if I say int x, okay, so what is int here and what is x here? What is x and what is int? Can anyone please tell me? It's easy, it's not difficult. What is int? Int is a keyword that is used for what? Huh? To declare an integer variable, right? So integer, this is a type, right? This is a type, right? And whose type? This is it's a variable name. X is a variable name. So by the word int x, we means that x is a variable that's type is int. You understand, right? So if we say bool or boolean is alive, sometime we may need to keep record even if person is deceased, right? For a while, even if person is dead, we need to keep his record for some time. So that does not mean that we have only keep record only 350 million people. Maybe we want to keep our grandparents, great grandparents record, right? Sometimes people will want to keep their legacy. Okay, so you see that as long as we are thinking more depth, our program is getting more complicated, right? So here, what do we understand? This string, bool, this int, these are type. What is type? This is called data type. These are data type, right? So for every data, there is a type, right? Some data, there are multiple types, some data fit in multiple types. For instance, if I say 350, so then it can be integer type, it can be short type, it can be byte type, right? If I say 25.0, that it can be only float or double, right? Then if I say true, then it is type is it value it is Boolean type, right? Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you that for every data there is a type. Actually, for everything in this world, it has a type. Everything in this world, it has a type. That usually in English we say proper noun, it's name. So if I ask you a question, for instance, if I ask you a question, please respond everybody. What is it? A pen, right? So then when I ask a question, what is it? Then you are giving me answer. And if I ask another question, what is it? A phone, right? What is it? A water bottle. Okay, so there's the first one is a pen, second one is a phone. And what is it? No, I'm pointing a finger. It's a finger, right? I'm saying this is a finger. And what is it? It is a hand, right? So what is it? This is a computer, right? So look around aside. If we look around, then everything we see in our surrounding area, then everything has a type, right? So that means not only for data, everything in this world has a type that generally describe the entity, right? That generally describe the thing. Okay, by looking type or by knowing a type, we can guess what kind of thing that is. That will be right. So whenever, if you close your eyes, everybody close your eyes, please. Let us do an activity. Close your eyes, everybody. And if I will tell you a type, and you will imagine, if you can, you know whether that thing is familiar to you or not. A pen. Do you understand what is it? Do you imagine what is a pen? A pencil. Okay. A laptop. A phone. Okay. A human being. A student. A chair. A table. Okay. Now open your eyes. So whenever if we are familiar with something, right, some type, right, even if we are close our eyes, we can imagine what the thing will be look like, right? Right. So that thing that means we are telling that everything in this world has a type. Okay, so that is in programming language we call class. In programming language we call class. So a class is a type that defines a group of similar things and common name of a thing. Okay, now imagine a student. Okay, if I ask you, so please call a student for me, what you will do? You will call a student, right? Then if I argue with you that I asked you to call a student, you call, what is his name, Daniel. Then if I am not satisfied, then you will argue with me, right? Now Daniel is a student because we know that a student has some characteristics, right, or features. You will tell me that Daniel has that features. Daniel has a name. A student has a name. Daniel has a name, right? A student has an ID. He has an ID. A student has a what is that ID card or what is called net ID. He has a net ID, right? So now if I ask you, then call me an employee, okay, or a professor, or then maybe you will refer someone else, right? So that maybe that person has a name, that person has same height, weight, okay. But you see that the first person was a student and second person was a professor. But there are some difference, at least one difference between a professor and a student, right? Understand? So this is why we are calling them he's a student, and this is why we are calling them as a professor, right? But there may have some common features, right? There may have some common features, but there must have some uncommon or unique features. So by looking the unique feature, we distinguish one object or one kind of thing from another kind of thing. You understand? So when I say the chair, when I tell you chair, then you imagine something. When I tell you table, you understand or you imagine something different, right? Okay. So now what is our goal? To understand what is a class. So a class is a type actually. So but in programming context, a type is a user defined data type. Okay, so whatever we are discussing about here, so instead of declaring our variable with this individually, okay, what else if we, so you see that our variable is very complicated. So array, so 350 million size area for social security number, another for first name with 350 million, and another for last name with 350 million size. That is getting more complicated, right? So instead of doing this, how about if we declare a variable like this? If we declare a variable like this, class people long ssn and then string f name, then string last name, and then string address, and then bool is alive. Okay, so instead of declaring, so I want to just show you the difference. Instead of declaring each of these variable as an array of size 350 million each, how about if I can declare as a type, this will be a type, so type will be here, this is a type people, okay, then with only normal variable, then our program is simpler, right? Our data type will be like data will be simple. And then later I will declare one array. For instance, I can say, later I can say people. If I say people, P 350, so compared to our program on the left side, our right side program will be more simpler. Okay, we know that accessing array elements is taking some complication, right? It takes looping, right? But how many loops it will take? Only one loop, two loop, three loops, four loop. For each array we will need an individual loop. But here how many array we have? Only one array. Only one looping, right? So then it is expected that our program will be shorter and easier, okay, and more simplified. So this is the concept of object-oriented programming. So the basic thing of object-oriented programming is the class. Okay, so basic thing of object-oriented, basic foundation of object-oriented programming is class. It's called class. So what is called a class? A class is a user-defined data type. So these are, we know that these are primitive or built-in data types. So in combination of existing or primitive data types or built-in data type, we are creating our own data type. So that data type name can be any name. It can be a student, it can be account, it can be people. Okay. So when you call our customer service, if I have a phone customer service, AT&T or T-Mobile, we ask our customer representative to open our account, right? Tell them, please, can you please open my account? I have something to discuss with you, right? So then what does he do? He go to your account. So, or we know that we create our email address. We have your email address, right? Every email address is an individual account. Okay. So this is the concept of class. A class. So a class is a user-defined data types. Okay. So what does a class do? A class contains two things. Some variables. These are the variables. Some variables. We know that these are variables, right? SSN is a variable, right? And then fname is a variable here, right? And lname is a variable, address is a variable, isAlive is a variable. We may have more variables. Okay, a class contains some variables and some functions. Okay, so let me get some space from here. Okay, a class contains two things, some variables and also some function. If we say void, so I can say void get data. So this is a function. You know that why do we know this is a function? Whenever we see a pair of parentheses, right? This is a function or method, right? Okay, and we can say another variable void is return type display data. So in a class, you can have any number of variables and any number of functions. The functions in a class are called method. Whenever a person goes to school, then he is called a student, right? So whenever a function is declared within a class, that is called a method. So here, get data and display data, these are two methods. And how do we know that this is a method? It's easy. if you see that a pair of parentheses, then this is a method. Then this is a method. So what we have learned here, a class. So by declaring this way, what we are declaring? We are declaring people. So whenever we say people, whatever say is a people or person, or even if you say student, no matter. So instead of, so if you say people, if you give your name, class name as student, no matter, then you will make it here student. And then P over here, or instead of P, if you say P or S, this is called. So here we say, whenever we say interlong, this is data type, right? So these side are data type. So these are actually data type. And these are actually variables, right? Do you understand? So these are variables, right? So these are our variables. These are our variables. So here, this is data type. This is also data type. Okay. And this is also variable. This is S or P, whatever you say, this is also variable. But for class, okay, this has a special name. This is called object. This is called object. So whenever you say student is, whatever you say, then a student, this one is a data type. So class, if its type is not a built-in data type, then that is called a class. Okay, and the variable of a class type is called, it has a special name, it is called object. Okay, so here this is data type, long is a data type, string is a data type, string is a data type, bool is a data type, but here student is also a type, but since it is not a built-in type, we will call that a class. And here SS name is a variable, if name is a variable, L name is a variable, address is a variable, is alive is a variable. But here S is also a variable, but since its type is not built-in type, so we gave it a special name as object. So in real life, what is an object? Whatever we see, that is called an object. That we see chair, table, pen, pencil, computer, everything is an object. Okay, my finger is an object, my hand is an object. Sometimes some objects are combined, okay, to build or create another object. For instance, a human being is created with some legs, right? Two legs, two arms, two hands, two eyes, head, body, right? It's a combination of objects. Like a table is an object. Whenever a table is a combination of some other object, like there is a screw, there is some wood, there is some maybe rod, steel, right? So sometimes some objects are combined together to make a larger object or another object. The world is an object. The whole universe is an object. Sometimes we see some object, or even sometimes we cannot see some object. But can you give me an example of an object that we cannot see, but we must realize? Give an example of an object that we cannot see. It's invisible to us, but it is helpful or really strange. Yes. Gravity is an object, right? Okay. What else? Is there any more example? Anyone can give us another example? There are many objects around us. Think about it. Think a second, please. You don't need to look around. So I'm asking invisible objects. So if you look behind, you cannot see, right? Oxygen, air. right? When we breathe out, I'm sorry, we breathe out carbon dioxide, right? All of those are invisible, right? Another thing, like temperature, right? We feel it is cold or hot, right? But it's not visible. Is there anything else? As a student of IT and computer science, we should know it. What is that? Is there any invisible object or powerful thing in our phone? What is that? Internet connection, right? Or Wi-Fi connection, right? If we do have Wi-Fi connection, we realize. If we do not have Wi-Fi connection, within a few seconds, we realize that, right? So Wi-Fi connection is not visible, but it is stealthy, right? Network connection, Wi-Fi connection, right? Signal. These are not visible, but these are really stealthy. So it is not necessary that all objects need to be visible, okay? But all objects have some features or characteristics, okay? The first thing is that is type. That in English in general, whenever we ask a question, what is it? And whatever we get our answer, right? In common name, in simple answer, that is the type, right? I said this is a pen. And pen is called a class. Okay? And if I say black pen, this pen in the instance of this, so this is a pen, right? So it is an instant of pen. So even if I ask you a pen and if you bring a pencil, right? Even they sometimes they look pretty similar, but there should have some difference between a pen and pencil because those are two different objects, right? Even a little baby should understand the difference between a pen or a pencil. Okay, so I took some extra time before I went through the our official slides to give you some idea in real life situation of what is called an object or what is a class. So in general, a class is a just concept. It is invisible. Okay, but objects are mostly visible, but there are some objects that are invisible. So think about that again. Whenever I say table or whenever I say chair, okay. So whenever I say chair is a common name, right? If I ask you bring a chair, either you will bring the yellow chair or blue chair or white chair, right? But in general, what you may bring that kind of chair. So you see that all those are chairs but different types, but they have some similarities. Okay, and then again, if I ask you a table, then you will bring something like this, black table or white table, right? So what I'm trying to tell you that everything in this world has a type. The type is called class, and an instance of that class is called an object. So whenever you bring that chair, okay, then that is an object. What kind of object? Is a chair. Okay. In physics we say particle, right? In physics, how many of you took physics class in high school? Many of you, right? That's good. So in particle, right? A particle has some features, right? Or attributes. Its name, right? Maybe its weight. Even it is tiny. You know that at this time we are facing coronavirus. What is the weight of a coronavirus jar? Maybe very small amount, right? But maybe it is very powerful. So the whole world is facing issue with like such kind of small viruses, right? So no matter that, in order to be powerful, an object needs to be gigantic or very heavy. It doesn't matter, right? Sometimes a very tiny object can do a lot of things, right? For instance, the viruses and then atomic atoms or atomic energy is something, okay? So the concept of object-oriented programming is to develop program or application in real life fashion. So in real life, what do we expect or what do we do? Usually we say a people, a student, right? In general, we say student, a bank account, right? So whenever we say bank account, then we know that there are some attributes of an account. An account holder's name, right? Account holder's social security number, account holder's address, account holder's email address, account holder's contact address, amount of deposit, withdraw, balance, right? History of deposit, history of balance, history of withdraw. So this kind of information, right? So the account itself contains all of this information, and we expect that a bank account should contain this, right? So it would be nice to create just an account as a class, and then whatever an whatever features an account should have, we will put all this in the account class, and whatever functions an account need, then we will put those as method in the class. That's it. And whenever a person is going to a bank to create an account, we will just a single click to create an account. We will give the account name. Okay, and then whatever will happen, then every individual object's data will be kept separate. For instance, you came to KSU whenever you got your admission, right? At least you or your parents came to here, right? Either physically or you came here virtually online, right? Over phone or maybe online. So whenever you came here, some representative create an account for you, right? That you got a net ID, and then you got an email address, right? You got a KSU ID, okay? And in addition to those, so that's they created an account. They did one click or a few clicks to create an account, and your account came as a bundle of all your first name, last name, address, social security number, payment history, then your grades, taking courses, department, okay, whatever needed. Okay, it is not that they are creating all of your attributes individually, first name, last name. So because if they wanted to do that, they might forget something. Okay, but another thing is that remember that whenever they create your account, so your data, someone's data is kept separate from anyone else's data. So data are not mixed up. For instance, that is what in real life we expect. Okay, in real life, what do we expect that whenever let us do a quick activity, another. What is your name? What is your name? Name? Okay, thank you. What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Yes. Sifa? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, no matter. Did you notice that I have only one question? Same question, everybody, right? What was my question? What is your name, right? But you gave different answer, right? So because you gave your name, you told me, I asked, what is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Question was only one question. Simple, right? But you gave All of you did not give same answer, right? All of you did not give same response. Your response was Daniel, and he's also Daniel, and something is Carson. But in together, all of your name was different, right? Or different, right? Maybe some of you have common name, but in combination of your name, even there are two Daniels here. Your name is Sam, but in combination of your name, date of birth, parents' name, in combination of this, there are some difference, right? You will be unique than him, right? So that is the thing. In concept, in real life situation, we expect that everybody's data will be kept separate. Okay, no one's data will be accessed by another one without permission, especially for public data, private data. Like you have a social security number, right? Unless you disclose your social security number, someone should not know your social security number, right? Okay, and similarly, everybody has, but you have some of your features, then you like that everybody knows it. You like that your information will be public, right? For instance, your name. People usually know that, want that their name will be published. Everybody should know their name, okay? So that is the concept of object-oriented programming. The concept of object-oriented programming is to develop programs more likely in real life situation. So now it is called, is that the first term is called object-oriented programming. So what is an object? Have we understand so far what is an object? Object is an entity, right? In physics, an object is a particle. Okay. In English, an object is a thing or entity, right? Every object has some features. Okay. Okay. And then now combination with oriented. So what is meant by object oriented? Yes. Yes, that is more reliable or aligned with objects. So however we deal with object in our real life fashion, right? Whenever I ask call a student, then entire student coming, right? And all student feature will be coming, right? Okay. Then whenever we say create an account, a complete account will be created. And then we'll put our data, we'll insert data, right? So then it's called object-oriented programming. That means the programming concept or the programming paradigm that is more relevant to dealing object in real life. So in other words, it is called OOP. It is a common terminology and everybody knows it, that OOP, object-oriented programming. That is the programming concept that is more likely as an object that we create. For instance, let me give you another example. If I have a class or type window, or let us start with button. So you understand that's what is called a button. So here you understand this is save button, this is close button, this is new folder button, right? So this is some button, it has some text box, and it has some drop down menu bar, and with this combination, this is called a window, right? In programming, this is called a window. Okay, this window. So instead of creating a window like by creating this object, button object, this object, this object, this object, if we can create a window like this with a single click, that will be nice, right? Instead of creating a button and then another text box, another drop down menu box, and then combining them, How about if we can click an entire window like this? That will be more easier and convenient, right? So that is our goal. Okay. In programming, we will declare a window, a type window, data type window, and as soon as we need a window, we will just create an window type. It's one click on one line of statements. How can we do that? For instance, if I have let me erase this. Okay, so if I have a class or type, I can say class window. Okay, and then what are the features of this window? It may have color, it have white, it has height, right? It has save button, it has cancel button, other button, whatever I have inside, no matter. And then if I say like window W1, then it will creating a window like this. If I need another window like this, I will say just window W2. I will get another window like this. If I say window W350 million, then it will create 350 million windows like this. And whatever a window contains, I will put here, only here, one time. And other window will be created automatically. Similarly, if I have a class building, okay, so whatever a building has some window, right? A building has some door, a building has some floors, a building has some restroom, bathroom, right? Some exit, entrance, whatever I have, all I will put over here. And if I can say building B1, then it will create a building like this. Okay, and we believe that only alien can do that, right? Maybe human being cannot do like creating like this kind, only God can create, right? And then whenever I say building B2, then it will create another building like this, and the building will be complete building. Okay, so we don't need to put the windows separately, we don't need to put the doors separately. Okay, whatever I put here in the building shape or format, the structure or blueprint, okay, that is need to be defined one time. Okay, so this is the concept of class, and this is object. Okay, so our goal will be develop program. Okay, develop program in the fashion how we expect in real life things. Okay, for instance, whenever you go to a store, Lowe's or Home Depot, sometimes we buy a window, right? For instance, let's think we buy a window. Some windows have glass, it has like net, it has hinges, right? Screws and all together, right? So think about that. It would take more time. Like if we would individually buy hinge, glasses, net, and we would assemble all of those together to make a window, it would take more time, right? But otherwise, whenever we go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any store, and if we can buy a window ready-made, right? That is already built in, and we just pay it and get it and put it in our house, right? That is easier, right? And then how nice it would be if we can get a whole building, including all of the windows that are needed. Okay, for instance, we know that in a there are some apartment complex. There are some apartments are almost identical, right? All of the apartments are almost identical, right? Right? So that you have an apartment like this, for instance, if you do one click, it will get an apartment like this. If you do another click, it will get another apartment like this. If you do another click, you will get another apartment like this. So as soon as you do one click or one command, it will give you another apartment. So this is nice. You don't need to build an apartment from scratch. Only what you will do, you will make the first template. Only you will make the first template one time, and you will reuse those as many times as we need. That is the concept of object-oriented programming. Object-oriented means in real life, how do we expect that? So here in real life, object works in a similar fashion we work while we do our programming. That is called object-oriented programming. And the object-oriented programming is based on two things, class and object. So what is a class? Have you got an idea what is a class? Remember? Yes. Yes, tell me, unless you understand class and object, I'm not going forward, okay? I like everybody to get full idea about class. So whenever I say class, so the next time you understand, you get it in your mind, that is a class. What is a class? Yes. Yes, one thing in shortcut, if it's a one sentence, is a custom data type, okay? Is a user defined data type, okay? Is a type, but in one word, if you give a definition of a class in one word, is a type, right? And then second thing, then in a type has a name, right? Everything in this world has a name, okay? And it has some features. The features are declared with variables, and it has some functions. The functions are declared, it has some actions. Actions are defined through functions. Okay, so a class contains two things, some variables and some functions. Okay, then whenever we have a class, then we can come with the concept of object. In real life, an object is an entity or a particle, okay? But in programming, an object is an instance of a class. So can everybody write it down? That what is a class? A class is a user-defined data type, okay? An object is an instance of a class. So everybody can remember these two things. So these are the foundation of object-oriented programming. If you do not understand what is a class and what is an object, you will not be going forward. And if you understand what is a class and what is an object, you understand 50% concept of today's class. Okay. So now we need to understand how to write a class. So in pseudocode format, we use class keyword. Okay, so then all in uppercase, and then whatever my class name, I'm giving my class name. So I say class and dog, and then begin, that means begin of the class name started and end class, and whatever I have in between, whatever other features, I will be here. So this class, it will start a keyword class and then followed by class name, and then we will start begin and then end class. So in other programming languages, in most of the programming languages, we do not use begin and end. Instead, we use curly brace, opening curly brace for begin and closing curly brace for ending. Okay, it's easier, right? Okay, and then so in pseudocode format we write class in all uppercase, but in programming language we write class all in lowercase. Okay, so this is case sensitive. Class you must type in all lowercase. You cannot say class C is in uppercase. It is wrong. You cannot say this. Okay, so remember this one. Okay, so class. So a class start with a class keyword followed by a class name. Whatever class name will be, this class name is an identifier name, like a variable name. Whatever variable name you can give a class name. If you have an existing variable, like for instance int or a string, if you have a variable like string dog, you cannot give another name dog. You cannot have two things, okay, same name. So you have to have, remember that you should not do this. You have already one variable like this, you should not declare a class like same name. Okay, so remember that whatever our naming convention, we should follow the naming convention. So with the class name should be a good name, that by knowing the name or by hearing the name we can guess what is this about. So but whenever I say dog, we imagine something like an animal, right? Okay, and then whatever a dog has features, a dog has legs, a dog has name, a dog has age, weight, color, right? So is a pet dog or not? So if I ask is pet, Boolean is pet, they will say yes or no or true or false. These are the variables for a dog, are attributes of a dog. And what are the actions that a dog should do or can do? What are the actions, Daniel, for a dog? Yes. Huh? A dog barks, okay, and on action that will be function. Okay, what else? A dog walk, so walk will be function, right? Sleep, eat, run, okay, many functions. So if we understand how to declare a dog class with 2, 3, 4 variables, attributes, and 2, 3 functions, then we will be able to expand this class as many functions as we need or as many attributes as we need. Okay, so now let us see how to declare a dog class in our programming languages. Okay, one thing is that class declaration of class different is a little bit language to language. Like if you, we're not discussing here Python language. If we use Python, we do not use curly brace, but we use tab. Okay, but in Java, C#, and most programming languages, a class ends with just curly brace, but only in C++, it needs an extra semicolon. Okay, so in C++ people, note that you need a semicolon after this curly brace, otherwise it is not completed. Okay, and almost everything is same. Okay, so whatever we are creating a complex data type. So a class is a complex or new data type or custom data type. Okay, then whenever we create a dog class with the attributes and actions of a dog, then as many dogs as we need, we will create the dog instance. Okay, one thing is that the instance of a class is called object, right? So whenever we create a dog class, I'm coming that later. Okay, so let us do this one instance. So object that means an entity or an instance of a class. Now similarly, so object has identity, right? Every object in this world is different than unique than other object, right? Okay, and it has some states and behavior. State means every work has a state. Like an object, some object can be standing, another will be sitting, right? Two students, you're a student, right? You are sitting here and you are sitting there. Your position is different, right? Your name are different. Okay, your age may be different, your weight may be different, hair color, eye color will be different, right? Or maybe same, some of them. Okay, so in combination, all of the identity is called state of an object. Okay, and behavior are the function or action. So similarly, we may have other classes, like a class is called bank account class. So account class, right? So account class, what are the function or attributes? Or attributes? The account holder name, balance, deposit, balance, right? And what are the action or functions? Deposit, withdraw, check balance, get history, something more. Okay. And an object, that means a bank account holder's instance, a bank account instance. Okay, so for instance, if John's bank account, his balance is like this much, 7,890, and Amy's bank account may have another balance, and Edward's account have another balance. So multiple objects are put together, are put closely in computer memory but separately. This is why one object's data is not mixed up with another object data. Okay, so we will go an example. How do we create a class like a dog class? So as in pseudocode, we will start with class dog and then begin and end class, and we will type our attributes, whatever attribute of a dog has, like name, weight, rabbit, and then whatever behaviors of a dog, like bark, eat, run, whatever we say. Okay, and then once we create a dog class, so this is the pseudocode format. Once you create a dog class, then we will be able to create as many dog instances as we need. Okay, now we will see that how do we do it. So in programming pseudocode format, this I'm coming this complete program. And then in a main program or driver program, we will create, say create J1, J2 as dog. That means J1 is a dog object, J2 is another dog object. So these are dog objects. Okay, but one thing is that we know that only God can create something. Okay, but we say create over here. Don't be misled that we are creating a real dog. We are creating a replica of a dog, imaginary dog. Okay, as a human being, we cannot create any animal, right? Can we do? We can only, God can create some animal or whatever. So whenever we say dog or human being or student, we cannot create them. Actually, we build them or develop them or reshape them, right? Okay, so don't be misled that we are creating a real dog. We are creating imaginary dog. So in this time, we are familiar with many virtual things, right? So you are getting stimulus money. Are you getting actual, whenever we, did you get actual money? Or virtual money, but right? Money came to your account, right? You saw a raise in your account, bank balance, right? Whatever you had, okay, you got, like for instance, whenever you got something, you got that much addition, and then you are happy, right? And then whenever you are going to shopping something, you are using your credit card, and you are paying your credit card bill from your account, right? So we are happy with virtual money, right? We are dealing with not physical or paper-based money. So same thing. As long as our dog object, it is created virtually and it can behave Whatever a real dog does, we're happy. We don't need to create an actual dog. Okay. So far whatever I discussed, please go to our slide and try to remember that. So two things if you can understand from today's lecture, what is a class and what is an object. I'm happy. Then in an extension, if you can understand what a class contains, two things, right? Some attributes and some actions. Attributes are declared as variables and actions are declared as function, right? So now it is easy. So if you remember these things, a few things, whenever we come to our next lecture, then you will see that we can create a whole program with a class quickly in our next lecture. So if you go to search dog, you see the dog class example C++. I have complete program dog class. Dog class explain Java. Dog class C# in multiple languages. Okay. So in our next lecture, please do not miss our next lecture. Okay, so you see that in our next lecture, I will discuss. Now, so far, you are familiar with something, right? You are familiar with class keyword. This is the dog name. Okay, in our next lecture, we will discuss what is called public. And except this one, you are familiar with name, right? String name. Okay, and your float is, and your string boolean. These are variables, right? And this is a function or action, get name, set name. Okay, so we will discuss this constructor in our next lecture. Can move. Okay, these are function. How do I know this is a function? Whenever we say pair of parentheses. Okay, so whatever I discussed to this lecture, I took some extra time. I just wanted to give you two messages, to give an idea of what is a class, okay, and what is an object. When you go back, I like you to count 10 objects around whenever you see. Okay, 10 objects, any kind of object. When you go outside of this building, you walk, please count 10 objects. I'm giving a tree as an object, okay? A tree as an object. So whenever you say tree, is that a class or an object? No. And when I say tree, this is a common name. Okay, whenever I say tree, that is a class is invisible. But if you can show me there are thousands of types of trees, right? Each of individual trees. So later we will know that for class we can just have classify a class, subcategory of class. There are some pine trees, right? There are some mahogany trees, there are some mango trees, there are some other kind of trees, rose trees, right? Some trees are vines, some trees are not vine, right? So whenever we say a tree in general that you cannot see, is common name, that is a class. And when you go outside, you will say a pine tree, right? You may say pine tree. That is a specific. So whenever you say specific kind of tree, that is an object. Okay. So I like you whenever you go outside. Okay. Find out 10 objects. Okay, like a building, a class, right? A road, a stop sign. These are objects, right? And then whenever you get 10 objects, please classify them. Try to find out their common name. Okay. For instance, I'm giving you, for you see stop sign, right? That is a sign. Stop sign or yield sign, right? That is a sign. Class is sign. And then it has written as stop. That is stop sign, right? Tree is a class, and then pine tree is an object. Okay, please, whenever you go outside, figure out 10 objects around you. And then whenever you get 10 objects, try to find the class name or common name of that object. For instance, this is the gymnasium building, right? Its type is building. Its name is gymnasium building. That one is architect building. So that name is architect building, but that is a building. Common name this and that is a building, right? So please find out 10 objects and 10 classes and their corresponding class name. Okay, try to understand. If you can find out, then you will understand what is a class and what is an object. Okay. Sometimes I'm giving you a clue. Sometimes class and object are misleading. Sometimes you may think that is it a class or is it tree? Is it tree? Is it tree? Is it tree? Is this a class or an object? I like you to get that confusion. Okay. Next lecture we will discuss something so that if you have some confusion today and we do spend some time thinking for that, we will be good to solve our confusion. Okay. So people who are joining online, has anyone any question? Okay, thank you so much and you have a good day.